Hello, everyone, and welcome to GCC Digital. We're here for the first In Conversation. So if you are with us, then please do join us, give us a wave, give us a comment, let us know that you're here. Hello, everyone. Hi there, PJ. Hi, Zoe. Oh, fantastic. Hello. Yeah, keep waving. Brilliant. Hi there, Gary. Gosh, it's people I've not seen for ages. Hi there. It's the first time I've ever done a live event, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So Protein's joined. Hi, Kimberly. So just to get you up to speed, so we're here for GCC Digital In Conversation Round 1 with the brilliant Luca Silvestrini from Protein Dance. So we'll kick off at about 6:30. So we'll wait a couple more minutes, let everyone get signed in. If you want to, grab a tea, grab some biscuits, grab a gin if you'd like, and get comfortable. Hopefully we're in for a good talk. Hi, everyone. Hi there. Hi, Humans Manchester. Keep up the good work. Wow, there's quite a few of you coming in, which is brilliant. Yeah, grab us a gin, Hans. Get us a gin. Extra ice with a slice of lemon. Great. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's all right, keeping safe in lockdown. I know it's tough times, but we're all trying our bit to contribute to the landscape of this digital world. Yeah, just waiting for Luca to arrive, and then we'll get started. Hi, Phoebes. Hello. Hi there. Yeah, keep the wave, keep the love coming, keep the love coming. Yes. Do a can. Hi, leg kick. Hello, beautiful. Wow, it's great that so many of you are joining so early. It's brilliant. We've just got another minute to go before we'll welcome Luca Silvestrini into the house from the award-winning Protein Dance, who does some brilliant work. And if you don't know their work, then make sure you check them out because they're brilliant. So we're here as part of GCC Digital, which is our In Conversation first round, number 1. So we'll see how that goes. Hi, Stuart. Wow, there's loads of people coming in. Hello, everyone. Okay, I think Luca's ready to join the room, so I'll just see if I can welcome him in. So let's see. Do we have Luca Silvestrini? Is he in the house yet? Just waiting. There he is, Luca. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
You seem to be on your side.
Okay, shall I change like this?
That's
Sorry.
better.
Yeah.
Is people that have just tuned in, can you just give a thumbs up if you can see me and Luca okay?
Okay, so maybe I should take this off then. Good. Okay, hope this phone stays there. Do we have a full house?
We have the full house. We're going to play bingo. We're not really. Okay, good. I think everyone's putting the thumbs up, Luca. I think everyone's saying we're okay to start.
Good. Thanks for
Great.
having.
I'm just going to do a quick introduction, Luca, before we start the conversation. So I'm just going to cover a few things. So just hang in there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to GCC Digital. And this is a new line of program activities online to get you kind of through lockdown. It's a collection of classes and workshops and conversations. And welcome to the first episode of our In Conversation series. I'm Gary Clarke, the choreographer and director of Wasteland and the curator of GCC Digital. And In Conversations are basically a series of conversations that will happen every Thursday with myself and a selection of UK-based kind of dance artists and dance makers, and each conversation has a specific talking point or theme that we will kind of delve into. Towards the end of the session, which will probably take about half an hour, we will open it out to any questions or comments that some of you might have about what we've been talking about. Please refrain from putting any kind of comments up during the talk because it can get quite distracting, but do feel free towards the end of the chat to add to the discussion. So the title of today's In Conversation is Working with Communities, which is something that I've done a lot in my work and something that I'm really passionate about, not just as an independent artist, but also in the bigger work that I create with my own company. So I'm thrilled to be joined by our first guest of the In Conversation series, the brilliant Luca Silvestrini, Artistic Director of the multi-award-winning Pro Team Dance, who are renowned for making work that comments on both social and political culture, and I quote, connects people and everyday life through dance.
Gosh, you've done your work.
Yeah, I've done my research, babe. I'm on it. Luca, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's brilliant to be here, knowing there are so many people listening and taking us company. Thank you.
Great. And how is life in lockdown? How you coping?
Well, I think actually I'm coping pretty well. The first few weeks were a little bit unsettling and difficult. Like we didn't know what was going on, and lots of cancellation and rescheduling. Lots of questions about what we're gonna do now, what's next. But also then a sense of also space and time. And I don't know, it was quite weird and weirdly relaxing to no people, no commuting, no cars, no planes, no, and just being at home, which is very rare for me because I spend most of my life on trains, hotel rooms, and traveling around. So it's I think we get in a good place in a way, and um, getting to understand what's going on and how to cope with it. So yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling it, aren't we, in our different kind of ways. But I've spoken to a lot of different artists, and they've said somehow there's been a real sense of relaxation because I think part of our job is so hectic and on the road sometimes that we're now forced to kind of have a break somehow.
And I think also the sense of routine, discipline. Started a sort of, my life is not very disciplined at all because you never know traveling, but actually having the chance to schedule your day properly and looking after yourself. It feels like a sort of being on a retreat in a way, and even if we are carry on working from home, but it just, you can schedule and you can save a lot of time by not commuting. Just food for thoughts, really. If this is the solution, maybe. I don't know.
We'll see what the future holds. Just so people know, I just want to say that me and Luca, we kind of first met years and years ago, actually, in 2001, when we both crossed paths during our time with Lee Anderson and the company The Fanshaws, where we both wore fishnet tights and high heels.
Yes, indeed.
Back in the day, that was like
Back
20
in the day.
years ago now.
God, I still remember the pain of wearing yeah.
Lee Anderson's got a lot to answer for, I tell you. Okay, great. So I guess today is to talk a little bit about working with communities and what we kind of mean by that. And I know that I became really interested in it as I started to work more and more in the dance sector. And like I said, we invite lots of communities into the work that we do as Gary Clarke Company, and we're really proud of that. But Luca, me and you were talking last week about, I think for both of us, our interest of working in communities seemed to grow from our childhood, maybe, or our upbringing. And in a way, I'd just like to start the conversation today with that, really. So I'm wondering if you could just take us back to kind of where it all began for you. How on earth did you get here, from a working class background into the arts, Tell us.
Well, yes, I think we, by chatting, yeah, last week or whenever that was, it's sort of, it's kind of clear that somehow the interest in people and in communities come from maybe, yes, where we started or where we're coming from, and I think there are lots of similarities we discovered, and yeah, for me, dance was a sort of, I always say this: dance saved my life. I mean, in terms of trying to understand, it was very helpful to trying to understand who I was, why. I felt very uncomfortable about being with people, being with friends, and not having friends, and dance was the way to accepting myself and understanding why I felt different from everyone else, and coming to terms with it, you know, in a way, and feeling accepted and valued for who I was. And I think this is very important to me, and I carry on engaging with communities, with people, for that reason, because I know that dance can be transformative, can really bring people out, and you become visible. You know, if you know, if you're struggling, and it doesn't matter what age you start. And I started quite late. I was a teenager, probably 15, I think. And I always liked dancing. I was dancing at home, watching shows on telly, copying and being a dancer on in front of the television. But eventually, it was through a friend that said to me, "Why don't you come and join in?" And that was it. It was the access to it, because I come from a non-cultured and arty family whatsoever. So they wouldn't have understood. They wouldn't have understood my need to sort of express myself through artistically. And so thank God there was that friend of mine that understood that. And since then, I think I found a path and a way to be.
So was there no other trace of art or dance in the family?
No, no, no.
So what do you think it is about you, or why do you think that path existed for you then? I'm always interested in terms of when people come from a non-art family, how we end up in this place. Again, it was very similar for me, you know, coming from a place like Grimethorpe, which is a working class mining village. There was no art, there was no dance, especially for a boy. And yet somehow I find myself in this industry, and I always question why, and I never seem to get an answer. I'm just wondering if you can shine any light on that as well.
I don't know. I think it's I don't know. It's something. Perhaps it's something that you have inside. You know, there are people that are attracted by other things, other forms of using their brain or their energy, and I think this is something quite innate. I think is inside. I think is inside us. It's part of our personality, and then sooner or later you find your how to you will know how to channel that energy, and that's what is great about working with community participants and community dancers, because they always wanted to dance or to be involved in the arts, but they never had a chance. But somehow, at some point in your life, there is someone like me or like you that create the access to it, and
Mm,
and you know they will always be helpful. Thankful to you
yeah.
for having created that opportunity to. And that's the thing. I think it doesn't matter when it happens, you know.
Mm,
It can happen any point in time, and it will only, you know, and it always makes it great, leaves you a great legacy, and
mm,
yeah,
mm.
yeah. I think
So
been
I really hope that some of our community participants listen to this, because it's very much kind of about them, really.
hmm,
Um, and in a way, I want to try and bring up the question of what do we mean by communities? Because I think there's a lot of different definitions or different ideas about what communities are. You know, you've got a community, you've got community participation, community involvement, and it's kind of used a lot in the arts. But for you, Luca, you know, like, what does the word community mean to you as an artist and as a person?
Well, I think community brings um, with it the sense of sharing, of
Mhm.
shared values and support, and be there for each other and building something together. I mean, I don't know. I'm probably not very good at giving you a how do you call it, a sort of formal definition of the word. But for what it means to me,
Mm,
it's that feeling part of a community means you're feeling less alone. You're feeling more understood and supported, and you know, unafraid to be who you are.
mm,
So it's about actually a community in you know, in, makes you want to, you know, makes you feel less worried about your different, being different or being diverse or being
mm, mm.
the other. So, and
Yeah.
what makes a community is the richness of the, each one is different, and that's the richness, is the value of it, is the
Mm,
added value of being different. And I think this is quite important when you approach a new group. Like, we do a lot of projects with community participants, and sometimes they're very mixed. So not just from one specific community, but it's could be an intergenerational work, or people coming from different places, and that's what is incredible, is the energy, and is the that all these different people brings together and creates this sense of unity and a bond that it's you know, indestructible, basically.
mm.
I really believe in that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I just wrote a brilliant quote down there, which I think is really kind of telling of today as well, is this idea of feeling less alone.
Mm,
I think for me that's very much a community, and I'm from a very, like I say, a small village, and we have that community feeling. We feel like we're in it together. And at the minute during lockdown, I think a lot of people are feeling quite alone. um, but
sure.
there's something about doing these kind of events, and what we're doing at the minute in terms of the arts industry is we're still trying to maintain a level of community, a level of belonging, to feel less alone. And I really love that definition. Just whilst I was preparing for the talk yesterday, I just typed in, which I've never done before, in Google, you know, what is community, and I
Mm,
got the definition in the dictionary. It was
mm,
endless, and there wasn't one definition, and it kind of encompassed all in
yeah.
every sense of the word. And I thought that was really telling, that there wasn't just one straight answer,
Yeah.
but it's maybe how we make a community ourselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, and I guess you've already answered this, but you know, I wonder where your interest in working with communities kind of comes from, because not many choreographers maybe work with communities, or certainly to the level that you do as a company. Some people really shy away from it. Some people kind of tip their toe in slightly. So everyone works at different kind of extremes, I think, with this idea of maybe
Sure.
community engagement, community participation. But you know, you've been doing this for quite a long time now, and it feels like it's something that you really enjoy and celebrate as a company. Um, do you know where that comes from? Is it about your upbringing and where you're from, or has it come from another vein, do you think?
I think yeah, it does come from that. I mean, the what happened to me from the point from when I started to go to dance classes to where I am now. That's for me what really made me believe that our dance is important for people, and it can mean a lot of things. And this is probably that's my interest in people. I think is and these projects that we are doing, these dance projects with non, let's say those people actually they don't belong to the dance community, but they aspire or they enjoy being involved in a project. So I think that's what interests me, and the company I shaped over the years, over 21 years, is this, passion in connecting with people and allowing them to be who they are, be interested in their story, in their background, and what they can bring into the creation of a show or a project, and so valuing that. And I find it was for me a natural attraction to this area of work. I mean, I didn't decide to do it. It just happened. Um, and of course, there were people that at the start of my career, they sort of spotted that. And then they said, for instance, one was Bush in a Yorkshire dance. They said, "Oh, why? I want you to make an intergenerational piece because I know the kind of work you're doing, and I think this will be really good." And it was right. So it's also about the people that you meet along the way, and they sort of identify where your heart is and what you might be good at. And and the work, Protein's work, was always in a way, when Bettina and I started, we wanted to make accessible work that people could connect with, and taking ourselves not too seriously, even if we wanted to tackle serious issues, but in a sort of light-hearted way, and being sort of, approachable somehow, So in a way, it was there, the potential to start to make our way into what at the time was, I think it wasn't even called community dance then. It started to be called community dance later on through Foundation for Community Dance, now people dancing. But it was, and so it's sort of, we've seen it from the very start, what and I think I still feel very proud of having become the company we are. We make shows that tour around the country and abroad, but also we keep on engaging with communities. Sometimes, as part of our main touring shows, or sometimes with projects, independent projects somehow, which and this is it's great. It's great to be there.
And do you find that your audiences are communities too, that your work tends to bring in people from local communities, so not necessarily just a theatre or dance audience, but people that might have never been to a theatre before? Do you find that it goes across all areas of your work?
Yes, because ultimately it's about creating access to everyone to come and see shows they wouldn't go to see, or they wouldn't go to the theatre. It's like my parents. My parents never. I don't think they came to see me, but if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have walked into a theatre. So it's about engaging them to actually bring also more people toward the art form, and because for a long time dance, especially contemporary dance, was seen as a very complex, complicated, obscure, cryptic, and a niche sort of art form. It's not for me. I don't understand it. But actually, I think there is more and more people attracted to contemporary dance, even when there isn't a story or one linear story, but even in the abstraction of things, people are more. And I think we have all contributed to that, and it feels good to know that, it paid off, basically.
Yeah. And when you create, I know when I create work, especially now I've been doing it for a while, I'm always seeing it through the eyes of a non-dance audience. Is that something that you would say you do as well, that you're trying to see it through a different lens for someone that might not know what they're seeing necessarily?
Yeah, absolutely. I do take quite a lot of I do think about the audience when I make work. Um, how can I access them? How can I create an empathy with the audience? It's not just about understanding what it is about, because also, you know, sometimes you have to find what it
Mm,
is
mm,
about. You know, you can't
mm,
patronize people and helping them to the point that, because you know, otherwise they can't get it. You know,
yeah.
but I think if it's about, you know, yeah, I think empathy and having some kind of, you know, yeah, path how to how to get into it, and how to make it relevant to them. This is
Mm,
the other you know, we usually say that our work is relevant or socially relevant.
mm,
It's about creating that connection with the everyday and with the people, with the human nature, and the complexity of it, so you can actually see yourself in the work, you know, or recognize something, which is which is different from helping people. You know, it's not about helping people, but it's about making something,
mm.
you know, that people can connect, can recognize.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that, you know, Proteins are celebrating 21 years, so
Yeah.
congratulations. Yay! Are you going to have a party?
Well, we were supposed to, but we can't gather. You know, we can't. That's
Um,
actually it's good because we're saving money by doing that. But it's yeah, we can't get together to just,
uh,
maybe we should do like a Zoom party.
another one.
Another one. Yeah.
I guess I'm talking about the kind of celebration, the 20th, kind of 21st anniversary, because you, like you say, you've been doing this a long time, and I think that the kind of landscape of dance and community participation has changed massively. Can you, is there a point where you can remember maybe one of the first, I mean, you mentioned the one in Leeds with Bush, one of the first experiences, and maybe how things have uh, changed and shifted to now? I guess last week we were talking about sometimes learning on the job, like you only actually
Sure.
know what to do when you're in there with these brilliant people working with them, that it's a very hands-on approach. Have you seen a difference or a change in practice in community work?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly I can talk about mine, my journey. I mean, we
Yeah.
started uh, by following our hearts, you know, common sense and passion, but completely unaware of what it means to engage with people, how to safeguard them, how to, you know. So it was completely out of interest, and because of, we were loving it, you know. And of course the approach change, you know, changes in time as you carry on doing it. You start doing more properly, I would
Mm,
say, and learning from it, from mistakes you learn. And especially for me on the on safeguarding, actually, both for the artist as well as for the participant. So
mm,
each time now we approach a new project, we do some professional development, and we ask people to come and talk to us, to tell us what to be aware of, what to avoid, what to be, you know, to be more prepared, so you can actually better channel that energy and that loving it energy at
mm,
people, or you are respecting fully.
mm,
And so I think that's what has changed in time, and of course as the stuff that you learn by doing it, by, you know,
mm.
and unfortunately, yeah, also making mistakes, you know, which is part of life, I guess. But
Yeah.
my, yeah, sorry.
Well, I guess there's just that thing that I'm always really aware of when I invite people in to work with, that there's a huge level of trust there, that is being put in from the people coming in to work with us, and there's we've got to totally respect that. And I work really hard with my team and my company to make sure that we do all of the groundwork that we need to do to make sure that a smoother process as possible can be had. So then, like you say, we can then enjoy it. And that takes a lot of work. And I think some people can underestimate the amount of thought, work, clarity and attention that has got to go into just making a project run smoothly, because it does have its problems and it can have its challenges.
Absolutely, and lots of preparation. I tend to, you know, bring people mad about the amount of preparation I want to have. And then, of course, preparation means money, means time, time means money. But I think it's absolutely important to be in a safer place. I think everyone will get the best out of it by being in a safer place. And of course, you never know what will happen. You know, you're in the hands of I wouldn't say God, I don't know, but you know, faith, you know. But but the more you can prepare yourself, the more you have the tools to react to the unfortunate episode or to the problems, the better, you know. So that's why it's fundamental, you know, to create a better experience for everyone, basically.
Yeah. And would you say that as a company, you have like a model or a framework that you repeat, or does it change project to project? Because I know you work a lot with a variety of different communities with different backgrounds and needs and abilities. So how do you manage that as a company and as a group of artists?
Yeah, I think there is an approach. The approach is very much based on what you said earlier about trust. You know, you need to build trust with the people that you're bringing in. They need to see what they get out of this. They need to understand what they sign themselves in, and they need to be respected and be looked after.
Mhm.
And especially when you're working with vulnerable or disadvantaged communities or group of people.
Mhm.
And it's about not, you know, it's not about judging people. It's not about putting them in a box. It's actually taking them out of a box and give them the best artistic and opportunity they can put and treat them as professionals. The one thing I've learned, it's you need, yeah, it's about treating everyone as a professional artist. So
Mhm.
and that's it's a way, it's an approach. And then of course, for each project, according to the type of the characteristic of that specific group or that specific project, we might bring some specialistic training, just to know
Okay. Mhm.
if you're dealing with young people or people in hospital, or if you're working with a refugee or an asylum seeker that maybe had very a very, you know, a difficult past, you know, how can you access that person without hurting
Mhm.
him or her or this
Mhm.
person out. So there is a lot of things to think about. I think we probably, by using our heart and common sense, you can guess, but still I think there are lots of people there that spend all their lives dealing with certain issues. And I think it's great, it's fantastic when you bring people in that can really take you on a journey and you go, yes, this is what I wanted to hear, and that makes a lot of sense.
Mm. Yeah, you touched on it before, but I'd love you to just talk a little bit more about what I believe is called your inclusion program, Real Life, Real Dance,
Yeah,
which is with a whole range of people. Can you just talk a bit about that? You've just slightly touched on it there,
yeah,
Luca, but it'd be great
yeah.
to know a bit more about how that's working.
Sure. Yeah, years ago we decided to call it the inclusion program, Real Life, Real Dance, because it wasn't even my term. It was Sarah Trist, our manager at the time, that she came up with this idea, because it was all about real lives, and but also it's so real that it's real dance, and it felt a perfect name that encapsulates this sort of this approach. And at the moment in this strand, we have the work we do with provisional education school, sometimes called pupil referral units, and also we have done projects with children in hospitals, and we've done projects in care homes, and also with the refugees and migrants. And this is our inclusion program, I would say. And but this is only part of our community engagement, because then of course we do other projects, but this is the most delicate side of it, you know, where you have to go with a lot of preparation and a big heart, and it's sometimes they're really, I would just say, they're very emotional journeys that you go through by working with these people, but the reward is immense, and because you have brought something out of them, that through what you do, which is dance, which is performance, but it means a lot to them and to the community around them. Because what I usually say, we tend to do performance-led projects. We don't do just a workshop. We're always trying to have a project that ends with a performance. We're putting on a show. And that's so important, because it's the moment when that community of people has the chance to be seen in a different light, under a different light. So it's important for them, but also it's important for their community, their friends, their teachers, their families, because it's about reclaiming some kind of space and visibility, and actually being not judged again on the same grounds, but actually this is, I can be this, I can also be a good person, or I can achieve something.
Yeah. And do you find that you walk away from these projects with a group of new friends? Because I know for us as a company, having worked with, I think it was 100 women from all over the country with Cole, and then I think now we're on about 50 or 60 men with Wasteland, they become part of our family. They become really close friends. So not just kind of work colleagues anymore, or people that are dancing with us, but we try our best to continue that relationship past the project. And that's something that as a choreographer I really love. I really like that I can take that away with us, that we still have that friendship and we still have that bond and we have that experience together. And
Sure.
For me, that's one of the highlights, is being able to build up a new network of friends and people that I might never have met before. I think for me, that's a lot of where the reward is. And I get really touched every time I meet new people and I continue that relationship. It's really, really special. And I feel very lucky to be working in an industry where I can do that. Is that same for you? Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. I mean, even the last tour of The Little Prince this autumn had so many people that came to see it, of local cast. When we did a show in 2008 called Dear Body, we had a local cast in each venue. We went of 12, between 10, 12 people. And it was a fantastic project, and you can still see these people come and see your shows, and they sometimes, most of them, they're on a mailing list, so that's why they still know about the company, and then they come and talk to you. We start remembering things and we take pictures together, and it's absolutely great. And they carry on telling you, oh my God, that project we did together, I will never forget. It was brilliant. I still laugh about it, or, and I went into it. It's amazing. And that is exactly what you said. You make a bond with people you would have not met otherwise. And these are your, I don't know, for me, this is my core audience in a way.
Yeah.
And more than audience, well, friends and people that actually will come and support you, whatever you do. And you have left you gave them something really important, very special to remember. They will never forget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful experience. I get the one thing I just want to finish on before we open it out to anyone that would like to
Sure.
comment or ask questions is something about the language surrounding this idea of community. And we were talking about this idea of non-professional, professional, community casts, non-community cast. Is it a community dance project? Is it a professional project with communities? And something that I've come up with, which I think is a really good kind of clarifier for us, is we work with real communities on professional stages. Because I was struggling sometimes with this language, and sometimes when you say community, people don't necessarily think that's high art or of same value, maybe.
Sure.
And I know that's something that we talked about the language surrounding this idea of community.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. You find a very good way of saying it. I mean, as I mentioned to you last week, I just there was a at the start of our career, we were using this sort of term of non-professionals, and to distinguish the professional dancers and the non-professionals being the community or the participant or the local cast, just because we thought this is about saying, okay, they don't do this as a profession, but they do because they like it to do it, because they love to do it. And then this is something I became very uncomfortable with, because the idea of non-professional means I don't know, it just feels wrong. So because actually we expect a professional attitude from them, and we want to bring them into a professional environment, and so therefore there shouldn't be any separation from a professional dancer. I mean, the other one is a professional human being, because you know it,
Yeah.
we're all professionals, we're all good at something. And so that is something I sort of changed in the way, and I adopted more like sort of local cast or community cast participants, more than calling non-professionals. And I think it is about, yeah, I think it's about respect, and it's about, calling things in the right way. I mean, I don't know. This might be something that it will evolve in time. We might find even better ways of. And the other thing you were mentioning about, sometimes in our sector there is a little bit of that. You can feel it sometimes, a bit of looking down at those who might do a lot of community work or participation work, or whether they, I don't know, as if it's not, high art or something. And I think that's also why I usually put my face, and actually I'm very proud of it, because I'm really convinced that it's about the approach. It's about what you want from your work. And this is also why still people feel very, oh, but why don't you send one of your dance artists to make that project working with our young people? Why an artistic director should spend time carry on working with them, this frantic and wild young people. Well, because I think I give it in the same value. I make a show with them like I would make a show with you know
Yeah. Anyone.
ballerinas and ballerinas. It's the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing for me. And I put it on in the same place. The same place.
And is this something, just to kind of wrap up before we open it out, is this something that you're going to continue as a company? Do you see yourself moving into the future with more work like what you've done? Will it continue on? Can we expect another 21 years out of you?
Oh well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. We'll see. We'll see. At the moment, yeah, no. Of course, we will work. We are, we are enjoying where we are now, and there is a lot of good projects coming up for next year. I know this year has been a little bit of a strange time to kind of put everything aside, and we are relocating to new premises in next year in Woolwich. And so there's a lot of exciting things. Whether this is going to be another 21 years, I don't know. I can't promise that, but I certainly no. But I think I have all the intention to carry on for now, and then I'll give you a
Good.
call if I decide to.
Yeah, good. All right, brilliant.
Pass on.
Thank you. Luca. Right, I'm just going to turn the comments back on. If we can turn on commenting. Hello, everyone. Well, there's more people in the house.
Hey.
God, it just feels like this is a whole subject where we can just keep on talking. I think once you talk about one aspect, another aspect unravels, and then another and another, which I think is brilliant. It's a massive kind of conversation starter. So I guess for anyone that's been listening, anyone that's just tuned in, we're talking about working in communities with Luca Silvestrini and myself, Gary Clarke, and kind of processes and approaches behind that. So does anyone have any comments or any questions that they'd like to throw at us right now, and we can try and answer them? If not, then we can wrap up and carry on with our evening. I think we've just got to wait, Luca, until the comments catch up.
I can see it's lovely to see all the friends, Stuart and PJ and Temi, Dance Exchange, Emma, and yeah, I don't know all of them, but I know quite a lot of them. I think
Great.
the
So, Luca,
think
we've
the
just got
question
questions saying, what was your proudest moment?
oh gosh, my proudest moment. Gosh, I got so many. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult to reply to that one. I think I think the fact I'm still here doing what I'm doing, because I get this sort of, you know, incredible moments, a great, incredible epiphany, both in the studio and during shows and during projects. So I can't really reply to that. Sorry, because you
There's
know,
no,
there isn't one.
yeah, that's a good question, Luca. What does working with communities mean for you moving in and past COVID-19?
Huh. Yeah, I think it's something I've been reflecting a lot and thinking. I think more than ever, you know, now we really need to think about the what community means and how we reach out to people and to rebuild what COVID has destroyed or challenged. Because I constantly, every day, I feel I'm in such a privileged position, you know, to be where I am now, and
Mhm.
and actually there are lots of people out there uh, whose life have been trashed, and so this is a real great moment, and it's important moment where actually what we do can help people, can help rebuild confidence and trust in themselves and in life. So yeah, that's always a good question, really.
This is a general one, but for new choreographers, what would you give advice for breaking into the industry? That's a big one, isn't it? I think
I yeah,
my
sorry.
advice, I think, would be start small. I think there's always a temptation to
Yeah.
try and do too much too soon, and I think what's proven successful for me is starting off with small ideas and slowly building with that, and allowing the team around you to build, so you can gradually build up your own voice and your own style and your own practice, and be less worried about making everything big very, very quickly. So I think there's something about longevity will go a long way, I think, for me.
And if I can add to that, I usually say to when I get asked that question, just don't worry about forming a company. Just make work. If you got something to say, just be interested in creating work, and that's it can stand per se. You don't need a company behind. You don't need to be called anything. Just make your work speak for you, and you know you will grow. and find your way.
We just had another one, which is interesting. Apart from um, the obvious one, which is lack of training, what other challenges come with working with communities?
Sometimes I would say expectation, or so you need to. I think it's very important. Something I've learned: if people that work with you have a different expectation from what the expectation you have, and I think it's about being very clear what we're going to do together, why we're doing this, and sometimes if there is an uncertainty or unclarity about the expectations, that can turn everything. It could go, it can go quite badly, or it can be a disaster. So I think that's. I don't know if did I answer the question. I mean, what was that the question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was clear. Yeah,
Mm.
there's a lot of questions coming in, and we've got a limited amount of time. We've got about 5 more minutes. If we don't get through all your questions, I'm really sorry. Um, so someone's saying, I'm very interested in what drives the working class in making. Do you feel you've lost connection with your roots? That's for Gary. Absolutely not. And this is why I make the work that I make with my company. I use a lot of my personal experience to fuel the work and the stories that I've got. A lot of it's autobiographical a lot of the time, and comments on the political landscape that we live in today. So I would say my work is kind of political with a small p, and I do use a lot of working class issues that I think need to be talked about. So I try and stay really connected to my roots. That's a definite. What advice would you both give for those starting training in these uncertain times, or for people that are going into maybe working with communities for the first time?
I don't know. That's a big question, isn't it? Advice. Well, I think you need to have a reason. You need to have a very strong reason of what draws you towards working with people, and usually, yeah, I think as Gary said, also start small, but thorough, small but thorough, and with a lot of passion, and trying to get some support. I mean, don't feel you can do by yourself. I think be surrounded by people that, like you, want to be there, and cares about it.
Mm. I would agree with that, especially for the question about stepping out into working with communities. I think it's
Mm.
about, yeah, getting advice, being well prepared, I think is a good thing, as being open and generous, and just know that there will be mistakes. But I think if you're open to learning from those mistakes and you have a dialogue with people, then that's how you make things better. And it's a trial and error process, I think, but
Yeah.
it's something you just get better at, I think, in time. And another question in terms of what advice would we give for those starting training in September? Good question. I think, we've got to embrace the fact that things are difficult now and things have slightly shifted and changed. And all we can do is try and shift and change with it, hoping that one day things might get back to normal. And it's about just not giving up hope, Luke, if you're listening.
And I think it will get better. I mean, it's we might get this in this situation for months or maybe a year or something, and I think we should also try to absorb from this moment that the opportunities that are there, because these opportunities might change the way we think or the way we operate. So we shouldn't be scared about, and I'm telling that to myself, that I was very scared about, I want to be in a studio now with people, and but maybe there are opportunities there that we haven't explored yet.
Yeah, of course. And just keep being positive. I guess that's just the general message to everyone out there. And I think, regardless of where we are in the world or who we are, I do believe we are connected as a community.
Absolutely.
Like Luca said earlier, we're all humans. Humanity at the end of the day is underneath everything that we do. So let's stick together. Luca Silvestrini, that was amazing. Thank
Oh,
you
that
so
was
much.
brilliant. That was
That was
brilliant.
great, and thank you for like your insights and your wisdom, and keep on going with the brilliant work.
Thank you. You
And
too.
those of you that, sorry, Luca.
I said you too.
Yes, it'd be lovely to see you at some point.
Yeah.
Those of you that have tuned in, please join us next week as we pick up the conversation. We're going to be talking to the brilliant Robbie Graham from Southport Dance Company, talking about place, identity, and politics with a small p. That's next Thursday, the 21st of May at 6:30. That'll be here on Instagram Live. On Saturday at 12 o'clock, you've got Rob Anderson from the Wasteland Company doing some bite-sized work, so you can learn some rave choreography from the show. And there's lots of other stuff for you to get involved with. Check out the details at GCC Digital. That's on our website at wastelandtour.co.uk. Luca, thank you once again. You're an
Thank
absolute
you.
star.
Thank you to everyone that have been listening, and thanks for this opportunity, Gary. All the best.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Have a
Bye.
great evening. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.